You've seen Donny Osmond on stage, on TV, and in the spotlight for decades. But there's one person who's always been by his side, and you almost never see her. Who is the woman behind the star, and why does she stay hidden from the cameras? There's a reason Donny rarely shares this part of his life, and today we're taking a closer look. Join us as we uncover the real story behind Donny Osmond's most private relationship. A love story rooted in patience. Donny Osmond and Debbie Glenn met when they were still teenagers, long before the world came to know Donny as a music star. Their love story began quietly, far away from the lights and cameras. What many people don't know is that when Donny first noticed Debbie, she wasn't just any girl. She was the most popular cheerleader in town. But there was another twist. At the time, Debbie was actually dating Donny's older brother, Jay. That made things more complicated, and Donny knew it wouldn't be easy to win her heart. Still, Donny was determined. He liked her so much that he decided to wait and try. It wasn't something that happened quickly. In fact, it took Donny 3 full years to convince Debbie to give him a chance. 3 years is a long time, especially when you're young, but Donny didn't give up. He stayed patient, kind, and respectful. Over time, Debbie began to see him differently, not just as a younger brother in the Osmond family, but as someone special in his own right. Finally, after those 3 years, Debbie agreed to go out with Donny, and that's when their relationship truly began. One of the most memorable moments in their early romance happened in 1976, on Debbie's 17th birthday. Donny wanted to do something unforgettable. He knew that Debbie wasn't the type to be easily impressed, so he planned every detail carefully. He wanted their first kiss to be something they would both remember forever. He started the evening by renting a limousine to pick her up. That already set the tone for a magical night. He then took her to the Sundance Tree Room, a romantic and quiet restaurant nestled in the Utah mountains. After enjoying a beautiful dinner together, Donny had a surprise waiting. Instead of just going home, Debbie was given clues for a scavenger hunt. Each clue led her to a different location until she finally arrived at Utah Lake. But the last clue had a special condition. Debbie had to return to the limo and get the final hint directly from Donny himself. There was one catch. He would only give it to her if she gave him a kiss. It was bold, but sweet. When Debbie leaned in and kissed him, Donny later described the moment as pure magic. He said it felt like fireworks and hoped that kiss would be something she'd never forget. To him, it wasn't just a kiss. It was the start of something real and lasting. 2 years after that special birthday night, in 1978, Donny and Debbie got married. They were still very young, but they already had a deep understanding and respect for each other. From that day on, they began building a life together, away from the spotlight, focusing on love, trust, and family. Their marriage would grow stronger with time, but it all started with patience, persistence, and a young man who was willing to wait 3 years for the girl he loved. And what happened next proves just how strong their bond really became. Life behind closed doors. After Donny and Debbie Osmond got married in 1978, they didn't just focus on Donny's rising career. They focused on building a family, and a strong one. Over the years, they became proud parents of 5 sons: Donny Jr., Jeremy, Brandon, Chris, and Josh. From the beginning, both Donny and Debbie agreed that they wanted to give their children a stable and loving home life, even though Donny was often in the spotlight. Raising 5 boys is a challenge in any household, but doing it while one parent is a global celebrity brings even more pressure. Donny spent much of his time touring, performing on stage, or working on TV shows. That meant Debbie often had to take care of everything at home. She didn't just raise their children, she ran the household, managed their daily lives, and helped with the family's business responsibilities behind the scenes. Donny has openly shared that Debbie was the one who kept everything together while he was away. Her role was crucial. As their children grew up and began families of their own, Donny and Debbie became grandparents 14 times over. Having 14 grandchildren means their house is often full of laughter, noise, and activity. And Donny has said many times that being a grandparent is one of the greatest joys of his life. Despite his fame, he values being present for those family moments. Still, a lot of the credit for keeping that family bond so strong goes to Debbie. Debbie has always been the calm, steady center of the family. She made sure the boys had a normal life, even while growing up with a famous dad. They went to school, had chores, played sports, and made friends just like other kids. The reason they didn't feel like they were living in the middle of show business was because Debbie worked hard to protect them from that world. She didn't want their father's fame to shape how they saw themselves or how they grew up. Their son Chris once spoke openly about how much he appreciated that. In an interview, he said that even though their dad was a major star, their childhood felt regular. He gave all the credit to his mom, Debbie. She kept them grounded and shielded them from the public eye so they could enjoy a normal childhood, something that many celebrity kids never get to experience. That effort helped all the Osmond boys grow up with a strong sense of identity and independence. Donny has said many times that their home life would have fallen apart if it wasn't for Debbie. She wasn't just his wife, she was his teammate. While he was out performing in concerts, recording music and filming shows, she was making sure everything at home stayed stable. That kind of balance doesn't happen by accident. It takes work, love, and a strong partnership. Their family life stayed strong because Debbie kept it real, even while living alongside fame. And when hard times hit Donny's career, it was Debbie who helped him find his way back. His secret to survival. Throughout Donny Osmond's long and busy career, one person has remained his steady support: his wife, Debbie. While Donny has been in the spotlight since he was a young boy, performing on stage and appearing on television, Debbie has stayed mostly behind the scenes. But Donny has never hidden how much she means to him. Over the years, he has publicly spoken about her many times, always with deep love and gratitude. He often refers to Debbie as his rock, the person who keeps him steady when everything else feels overwhelming. In a 2022 interview with People magazine, Donny shared just how much Debbie is a part of his life. He said simply, "She's part of me." That short sentence says a lot. It shows how closely connected they are, not just as husband and wife, but as true partners. For Donny, Debbie isn't just someone he loves. She's someone who gives his life meaning, focus, and peace. In a career filled with travel, pressure, and constant attention, Debbie has been the calm voice that brings him back to what matters most: family, love, and home. One of the most difficult times in Donny's career was what he called his dark years. After enjoying years of success, he took a major hit when his Broadway play Little Johnny Jones failed. The show closed just one day after opening, and the experience deeply affected him. It wasn't just a professional failure, it was personal. He had put everything into the project, and when it didn't work out, it shook his confidence. Donny later shared how hard that time was emotionally and mentally. But through that dark period, Debbie stood by him. She didn't walk away or let him struggle alone. Instead, she offered the emotional support he needed to heal and move forward. Donny credits her with helping him get back on his feet. Without her encouragement and quiet strength, he says he might not have been able to keep going. That kind of support, especially during moments of failure and doubt, is rare. And it's a big part of why Donny has been able to continue performing and creating for so many decades. Debbie's influence also shows in the way Donny makes decisions. He's explained that every time he faces a major life or career choice, he follows a clear order of thought. First, he asks how it will affect his wife. Then, he thinks about his children. After that, He considers his grandchildren. Only after all of them come to mind does he think about himself. This way of thinking shows just how much he values his family, and especially Debbie. She always comes first. Debbie may not be in the headlines or walk red carpets often, but her role in Donny's life is massive. She's been the foundation of his success, his emotional safety net, and his closest confidant. And as Donny's career continued to rise again, the choice they made to stay private became more important than ever. The fame nearly broke him. Donny Osmond became famous at a very young age. While most kids were going to school and playing with friends, Donny was already performing on television and touring with his brothers. He quickly became one of the most popular teen idols in America. With hit songs like Go Away Little Girl and Puppy Love, he gained millions of fans, mostly young girls who adored him. His posters were everywhere, and fans screamed his name wherever he went. But even with all that attention, Donny's early fame came with a price. While many people loved him, others did not. The media could be very harsh. One of the most painful moments for Donny came when Rolling Stone magazine published an article calling his birthday the worst day in rock and roll history. Donny was still a teenager at the time. That kind of public criticism was hard to take, especially for someone so young. It made him question himself and wonder if he truly belonged in the music industry. As his fame continued to grow, Donny began to feel more and more isolated. He has said in interviews that while girls screamed for him and followed his every move, teenage boys often resented him. Instead of being treated like a normal teen, he was either idolized or criticized, nothing in between. That left Donny feeling like he didn't have many people to connect with or talk to. He was surrounded by people, yet he often felt alone. This kind of fame may look exciting from the outside, but Donny has made it clear that it was also very lonely. He couldn't go to a shopping mall without being swarmed. He couldn't go on a simple date or walk into a restaurant without being recognized. Over time, that constant attention made him feel like he was living in a bubble, separated from the rest of the world. During these difficult years, Debbie became the most important person in his life. She saw the real Donny, the person behind the fame. She didn't fall in love with a celebrity. She fell in love with the man. That made all the difference. While the world expected Donny to be perfect, Debbie gave him space to be himself. She didn't care about the noise outside. She cared about Donny's well-being. Debbie was the one who helped keep him grounded. She didn't get caught up in the Hollywood lifestyle. Instead, she focused on their relationship, their family, and their future. When things got tough, Debbie gave Donny the comfort and strength he needed. She reminded him of what truly mattered and helped him stay focused during times when it would have been easy to lose himself. Even when the world was watching, judging, and reacting, Debbie stayed steady. Her presence helped Donny survive the pressure and loneliness that came with fame. She gave him a real connection when everything else felt out of reach. And when Donny and Debbie decided to build a quiet life together, they made a choice that would shape the rest of their journey. The deal they made. For over 4 decades, Donny and Debbie Osmond have built a strong, lasting marriage. But what makes their relationship unique in the world of entertainment is how little the public has seen of it. While Donny has spent most of his life in front of cameras and on stages, Debbie has chosen to live quietly, behind the scenes. This decision wasn't accidental. It was something they agreed on together early in their relationship. It was a private pact, a shared promise to put their love and family above publicity. When Donny and Debbie got married in 1978, Donny was already a star. He had been performing since childhood and was well known across the country. There was a lot of interest in his personal life, especially after he tied the knot. But instead of turning their relationship into something public, Donny and Debbie made a very different choice. They decided to keep their love story out of the spotlight. They didn't attend red carpets as a couple. They rarely gave interviews together. and they didn't share many personal details with the media. This wasn't because they were trying to hide anything. In fact, Donny has been very open about how much he loves Debbie. Their choice to stay private was about protecting something important. Fame can often put stress on relationships, especially when every moment is seen and judged by others. Donny and Debbie wanted to make sure their marriage stayed real and personal, not something created or shaped by the entertainment industry. Keeping their relationship private actually helped make their bond stronger. They were able to focus on each other, their children, and their life as a family without distractions. They didn't feel the need to prove anything to the world. Instead, they built their connection quietly, through shared responsibilities, trust, and love. Donny has spoken about this many times over the years. In one heartfelt reflection, he said, "She's more than my wife. She's my best friend and only confidant." That says a lot about their relationship. Debbie isn't just his partner in marriage. She's the person he turns to for advice, support, and comfort. She knows him better than anyone else. Because their love was never used for publicity, it stayed strong and meaningful. Even though they've kept most of their relationship away from public view, there have been a few rare moments where Donny has shared glimpses of their life together. One of the most touching was in 2020, around Valentine's Day. Donny posted a photo of himself with Debbie on social media. In the post, he wrote about how much she means to him and how grateful he is for the life they've built. He said that even after more than 40 years of marriage, she was still his soulmate. It was a simple but powerful reminder of the depth of their love. Their private pact wasn't about hiding, it was about protecting something precious. Donny has never been shy about giving Debbie the credit she deserves. In many interviews, he has said that she is the reason their family stayed strong. He's called her the glue that kept the family strong, and he truly means it. While he was living life on the road, entertaining millions, Debbie was making sure their sons had a stable, grounded childhood. She was the one who made sure they had a sense of normalcy, even with a famous father. And as their children grew older and started families of their own, Debbie's role as a quiet leader only became more meaningful. Childhood sacrifices. Donny Osmond's childhood was far from ordinary. While most children spent their early years playing outside or hanging out with friends, Donny was already working. From the age of 5, he was performing regularly on The Andy Williams Show alongside his brothers. For 5 years, from ages 5 to 10, this show became the center of his life. He wasn't just performing for fun, he was part of a family group that was building a serious career in entertainment. Donny's days were filled with rehearsals, voice training, and stage performances. There was very little time for carefree moments or simple childhood experiences. He practiced singing in front of mirrors, worked on his dancing, and memorized music, all while other kids were going to birthday parties or riding bikes. It wasn't that he didn't enjoy performing, he did, but the pressure and responsibility came early and never let up. As a young boy, Donny sang alongside some of the biggest names in show business. He had the chance to learn from legends like Bob Hope, Milton Berle, and Jerry Lewis. He watched how they performed and how they connected with audiences. These experiences shaped his career, but they also took him further away from a normal childhood. Being around famous adults became his everyday reality, while friendships with kids his age were rare. Donny has often spoken about how his upbringing was shaped by discipline and high expectations, especially from his father, George Osmond. George had a military background and raised his children with a strong sense of order. He pushed them to rehearse over and over until every note and dance move was perfect. Donny later said he always wanted to meet his father's standards, but it wasn't easy. There was little room for mistakes or rest. This kind of strict environment helped the Osmond family achieve success, but it came with emotional strain. Donny wasn't allowed to relax or take breaks the way most kids could. His time was completely scheduled around performing and staying in top shape for shows. The pressure was constant, and there was always the expectation to do more, be better, and keep going, no matter what. There were strong similarities between the Osmonds and another famous family group, the Jackson 5. Donny noticed how his life closely matched that of Michael Jackson. Both were seventh children in large musical families. Both grew up under strict fathers who managed their careers. Their mothers even shared the same birthday. Over time, Donny and Michael became friends and often spoke about how they were the only ones who truly understood what it meant to grow up as child performers in the spotlight. All of this made Debbie's role in Donny's adult life even more important. When he met her, she gave him something he had never really known before: a calm, steady, and normal family life. She didn't treat him like a star. She saw him as a person who needed love, trust, and a safe place to land. Debbie created a home where Donny could finally experience the kind of emotional peace he had missed during his early years. And later, when Donny found himself connecting with someone else who shared that childhood pressure, it revealed just how rare and valuable that support really was. The Michael Jackson connection. Donny Osmond and Michael Jackson shared something few people could truly understand: the pressure of growing up in the spotlight. Both were child stars, famous before they were even teenagers, and both belonged to large musical families managed by strict fathers. Their lives had striking similarities, so much so that Donny once said he and Michael often laughed about it because it was almost eerie. They were both the seventh child in their families. They both performed with their brothers. Their mothers even had the same birthday. Most importantly, they both experienced the same kind of childhood, one that was filled with rehearsals, shows, cameras, and expectations. They didn't get to play like normal kids. Instead, they worked. That pressure didn't go away as they got older. It stayed with them and shaped how they saw the world. Because of these shared experiences, Donny and Michael formed a real friendship. They understood each other on a level that most people couldn't. Donny has said that Michael told him more than once that he was one of the only people who truly got it. They didn't just talk about fame or music. They talked about what it did to them as people, how it affected their sense of identity, and how hard it was to find real peace. One of the most emotional moments Donny shared about their friendship was their final phone call. It happened shortly before Michael Jackson passed away in 2009. Donny remembered that Michael had called him but didn't immediately say where he was. Donny kept asking, and eventually Michael revealed that he was traveling across the country in a tour bus with his children. He had kept his location secret for safety and privacy, but Donny convinced him to share. At the time, Michael was in Phoenix, Arizona. When Donny realized that, he invited Michael to come up to Utah. Donny told him to bring the kids and just have a relaxing visit. He promised they could swim, play, and spend time like a regular family. Donny and Debbie were ready to welcome them into their home with open arms. It wasn't about music or business. It was about giving Michael and his kids a break from the chaos. Sadly, Michael never made the trip. He passed away not long after that call, and the visit that could have been a moment of peace never happened. For Donny, that phone call left a lasting impact. It reminded him how important it was to have a stable home and a safe space away from the public eye. That's exactly what Debbie had given him. Debbie had created the kind of life that Donny, and maybe even Michael, had longed for. A life that felt real, calm, and full of love. After that final call, Donny said he felt even more grateful for what he had. Debbie's decision to keep their life private and centered around family wasn't just wise, it was healing. And while Donny was still very much a part of the entertainment world, his next chapter proved just how deeply he had learned from the past. Why she stays hidden. Donny Osmond has been in the public eye for more than 60 years, and remarkably, his career is still going strong. While many entertainers fade over time, Donny has found ways to stay current, reinvent himself, and connect with new generations of fans. Even into his 60s, he continues to perform, take on new challenges, and receive recognition for his talents. One major turning point in his later career came in 2009 when Donny competed on Dancing with the Stars. At first, many people thought he joined just for fun or nostalgia. But week after week, he impressed both judges and viewers with his dedication and skill. He wasn't just relying on his name, he was working hard. In the end, Donny won the competition, proving that he still had the drive and ability to surprise people. That win brought him renewed attention and introduced him to a younger audience. A decade later, in 2019, Donny appeared on The Masked Singer as the Peacock. This time, his identity was hidden, and people had to guess who he was based on his performances. Again, his talent stood out. He ended up finishing as runner-up, with many fans shocked to learn the true identity behind the costume. It was another sign that Donny's voice and stage presence remained strong, even after decades in show business. From 2010 to 2019, Donny also held a successful Las Vegas residency with his sister Marie. Their show became one of the most popular acts on the Strip. It was fast-paced, entertaining, and full of energy. Night after night, audiences packed the theater to see them perform. Their run in Vegas earned multiple awards, including Best Show and Best Performers. Even after the residency ended, Donny returned to Las Vegas in 2021 with a solo show and won several awards again in 2023. He's shown no signs of slowing down. Through all of this continued visibility and success, one thing has stayed the same. Debbie remains out of the spotlight. It's not because she isn't capable or is uncomfortable being in public. It's simply her personal choice. Debbie prefers to keep her life private, even as Donny's public life continues to grow. She supports him fully, but doesn't feel the need to be seen. Donny deeply respects this choice. In interviews, he's talked about how important it is to honor Debbie's wish for privacy. He knows that some celebrity couples appear together often, attend events side by side, and share their relationship publicly. But that's never been how he and Debbie operate. Their love story has always been private and deeply personal. He often says that Debbie doesn't need to be seen by the world because he sees and values her every single day. Donny's ability to keep performing at a high level is impressive. But what makes it even more meaningful is knowing he has someone like Debbie in his corner, quietly and steadily supporting him, as she always has. And even with all this success, the biggest challenges Donny and Debbie faced weren't always on stage. They were the personal struggles behind closed doors. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss more real-life stories just like this one.